Mr. Thompson stepped out of his worn-out sedan, its faded paint a stark contrast to the gleaming cars displayed in the dealership window. He took a deep breath, hoping today would mark the beginning of a new chapter in his life. The street was bustling with activity, but inside the dealership, the atmosphere was almost electric. Sleek lines and polished surfaces glinted under the fluorescent lights, promising luxury and status to those who could afford it. As he entered, Mr. Thompson felt a surge of anticipation. His heart raced at the thought of finally purchasing the car his late wife had always dreamed of. However, as he walked through the showroom, he was met with indifferent glances and dismissive smirks from the young salesmen huddled together, chatting about their latest commissions. "Excuse me," he ventured, hoping to catch the attention of one of the salespeople. They barely acknowledged him, their focus firmly fixed on a well-dressed couple nearby. "Hand it over!" The commanding voice cut through the air like a knife as a figure emerged from the shadows, interrupting the tension in the room. Mr. Thompson's heart sank as he recognized the dismissive attitude around him, a stark reminder that he was invisible in their eyes. Feeling humiliated, he turned to leave, the excitement of the day deflating like a popped balloon. Little did he know, this moment of rejection would set off a chain of events that would change not only his life, but the entire dealership forever. As Mr. Thompson walked back to his car, disappointment washed over him. Each step felt heavier, burdened by the dismissive attitudes of the salesmen he had encountered. He settled into the driver's seat, staring at the steering wheel as memories of his late wife flooded his mind. She had always encouraged him to pursue his dreams, to enjoy the finer things in life, especially after their years of hard work. Yet here he was, feeling invisible and unworthy. He recalled their shared laughter as they drove through the countryside in their first car, a vintage convertible with a roaring engine and gleaming chrome. They had made plans to buy another car together, one that would remind them of those carefree days. But now, the dream felt just out of reach, tainted by the attitudes of those who judged him based on his appearance. Mr. Thompson took a deep breath and turned the key in the ignition. As the engine sputtered to life, he made a decision. He would not let this setback deter him. Instead of heading home, he drove to a nearby park, a place that had always brought him solace. He found a quiet bench under the sprawling branches of an old oak tree and sat in silence, letting the cool breeze wash over him. As he gazed at the families enjoying the sunny day, he felt a flicker of determination ignite within him. He had built a successful life once, navigating the challenges of business with skill and tenacity. Why couldn't he do it again? The thought struck him like a bolt of lightning. What if he bought that dealership? The idea seemed ludicrous at first, but the more he considered it, the more it resonated. He knew the automotive business. He had negotiated deals, managed finances, and understood customer service. He was tired of feeling dismissed and overlooked. If he could turn the dealership around, he could create a place where everyone felt valued, regardless of their appearance. With renewed resolve, Mr. Thompson pulled out his phone and started making calls. He reached out to old contacts, business partners, and financial advisors, sharing his bold plan to purchase the dealership. By the time he returned home, he felt a sense of purpose he hadn't experienced in years. As he lay in bed that night, his heart raced at the prospect of what lay ahead. He would show those salesmen that he was not just an old man with a faded jacket. He was a force to be reckoned with. Tomorrow, he would make his move. The sun rose with an unassuming brilliance, casting golden rays across the town as Mr. Thompson prepared for the day ahead. He dressed carefully, donning a crisp shirt and a blazer that, while slightly worn, still carried a sense of dignity. Today, he was not just a retired man. He was a man with a mission. As he drove back to the dealership, anticipation bubbled within him. The familiar sights of the town greeted him, but they felt different today, infused with possibility. The dealership loomed ahead, a behemoth of glass and steel, its shiny facade reflecting the morning light. Mr. Thompson entered the dealership with purpose. He approached the receptionist, who looked up with a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. "I'd like to speak with the owner," he stated firmly. After a brief wait, the owner, a smug man named Mr. Jenkins, stepped forward, A bemused expression plastered across his face. "What can I do for you?" he asked, glancing at Mr. Thompson's attire as if it was a joke. "I'm here to buy your dealership," Mr. Thompson declared, his voice steady and resolute. Mr. Jenkins laughed, shaking his head. "You? Buy this place? I think you've mistaken yourself for someone who can afford it. We cater to a different clientele, my friend." But Mr. Thompson stood his ground, unfazed by the mockery. "I'm serious. I have the resources and the experience to turn this dealership into something extraordinary. You'll find that I can offer you a fair price and a better vision." Intrigued, yet dismissive, Mr. Jenkins raised an eyebrow. "Okay, let's say I'm interested. What's your plan? You've seen how we operate. You really think you can change this place overnight?" "Not overnight," Mr. Thompson replied, "but I promise that with the right approach I can transform it into a dealership where every customer feels valued. I'll make it a community hub." Mr. Jenkins hesitated, his interest piqued. "You have no idea what you're getting into." "Perhaps," Mr. Thompson said, his voice unwavering. "But I assure you, I'll be getting into it regardless." The next few days were a whirlwind as Mr. Thompson gathered all necessary documentation, arranging finances and building a case to present to Mr. Jenkins. He spent hours reviewing dealership operations, customer feedback, and market trends. He knew that if he were to convince the owner, he needed to have a solid plan. On the day of the pitch, Mr. Thompson arrived at the dealership early, a stack of papers in his briefcase and a fire in his belly. He took a moment to breathe deeply, centering himself before facing the man who had doubted him. Mr. Jenkins greeted him with a mix of curiosity and skepticism. "You're really serious about this, aren't you?" "Absolutely," Mr. Thompson replied confidently. "I've prepared a detailed plan outlining how we can improve customer service, streamline operations, and expand our reach in the community." As he spoke, Mr. Thompson laid out his vision: improving the dealership's reputation, focusing on customer experience, and implementing community outreach programs. He highlighted how the dealership could be a place where everyone, from first-time buyers to seasoned car enthusiasts, felt welcomed. Mr. Jenkins listened intently, his demeanor shifting from disbelief to intrigue as he realized the depth of Mr. Thompson's knowledge and experience. Just as Mr. Thompson finished his presentation, the atmosphere shifted. A group of salesmen, including those who had dismissed him before, entered the room, smirking at the sight of Mr. Thompson. "Who does this old guy think he is?" one of them whispered loud enough for everyone to hear. Mr. Thompson met their gaze, unflinching. "I'm the man who's about to buy this dealership and turn it around." With that, Mr. Jenkins leaned back in his chair, a glimmer of respect shining in his eyes. "Let's talk numbers." The negotiations took several days, filled with back-and-forth discussions about terms and conditions. Mr. Thompson presented himself as a seasoned businessman, and Mr. Jenkins began to see him in a new light. The young salesmen who had once laughed at Mr. Thompson's appearance now whispered among themselves, their cocky attitudes diminishing as they realized the gravity of what was happening. By the end of the week, Mr. Thompson had successfully negotiated the terms of the deal. He was now the proud owner of the dealership, and as he stood outside the glass doors, the realization began to sink in. "This is it," he thought, "my chance to prove myself and to create something meaningful." As he entered the dealership for the first time as the owner, a hush fell over the room. The salesmen stared, a mix of disbelief and resentment painted on their faces. "Welcome to your new office, Mr. Thompson," Mr. Jenkins said, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "I hope you're ready for the challenge." "I'm ready," Mr. Thompson replied, determination lacing his words. "And I expect to see every single one of you here giving your best." With a sense of purpose, Mr. Thompson gathered the staff for a meeting in the showroom, his presence commanding attention. "Thank you all for being here," he began. "Today marks a new beginning for this dealership. We're going to build a place where every customer feels valued. I want to hear your ideas, your concerns, and how we can make this work together." Some salesmen exchanged doubtful glances, still unsure about the old man's vision. But a few, curious about the prospect of change, leaned in closer. "Mr. Thompson, with all due respect," one of the more senior salesmen spoke up, "this isn't just about being nice to customers. It's about sales and numbers." "I understand that," Mr. Thompson replied, "but without building genuine relationships, those numbers will never grow. People want to feel heard and appreciated, and that's what we will focus on." As the meeting concluded, Mr. Thompson felt a renewed sense of hope. He knew the journey ahead would be challenging, but the spark of determination ignited within him. Yet, whispers among the younger salesmen hinted at dissent, and he could feel the tension brewing just beneath the surface. The first week of ownership was both exhilarating and overwhelming for Mr. Thompson. He rolled up his sleeves and got to work, assessing every aspect of the dealership. From the layout of the showroom to the sales process, everything was on the table for review. He initiated changes right away, starting with a complete revamp of the customer service approach. Training sessions were scheduled, focusing on empathy, active listening, and building rapport with customers. As he walked through the dealership, he noticed a couple standing awkwardly, trying to figure out how to approach a sales associate. Their hesitance reminded him of his own experience just days earlier. He stepped in, introducing himself and offering assistance. "Welcome. What brings you in today?" he asked with genuine warmth. To his delight, the couple responded positively, sharing their story of looking for a family car. Mr. Thompson listened intently, asking questions and offering thoughtful suggestions that catered to their needs. Word began to spread about the new management, and soon more customers returned to the dealership, intrigued by the fresh atmosphere. Mr. Thompson's approach was making a difference, but not everyone was happy about it. Some of the sales staff grumbled under their breath, skeptical of the new direction. They preferred the old way of doing things, focusing solely on numbers and commissions. Mr. Thompson overheard their conversations, but chose to remain optimistic, believing that change would take time. Late one evening, while reviewing customer feedback, Mr. Thompson stumbled across a scathing online review from a disgruntled former employee. The review painted a picture of chaos and disorganization, questioning Mr. Thompson's leadership and ability to turn the dealership around. He felt the sting of doubt creeping in, but shook it off. "I'll show them," he murmured to himself, determination flooding his veins. Just as Mr. Thompson felt he was gaining traction, a significant challenge arose. A prominent local newspaper published a piece highlighting the poor customer experiences at the dealership, referencing the negative review and painting the entire establishment in a negative light. The headline read, "Old Dog, New Tricks, a local dealership struggles to find its way." The article featured unsatisfied customers and depicted Mr. Thompson's changes as ineffective. Mr. Thompson's heart sank as he read the article. He realized that their hard work could be jeopardized by one piece of bad publicity. "Gather everyone for an emergency meeting," he instructed, feeling the weight of the moment pressing down on him. As the staff assembled, Mr. Thompson sensed their unease. "I know that this article is discouraging," he began, "but we cannot let it define us. Instead, let's use this as an opportunity to show our community what we're really capable of." He encouraged the team to come up with ideas for a community event that would showcase their commitment to customer service and community involvement. While some were still skeptical, others began to warm up to the idea, excited about the chance to turn things around. "Why don't we host a Customer Appreciation Day?" suggested one of the more enthusiastic salesmen. "We could offer free car washes and giveaways." "Great idea," Mr. Thompson exclaimed, feeling a flicker of hope. "Let's plan it for next weekend. But we need to work fast. I want every customer we've ever serviced to feel invited and valued." As the meeting adjourned, he could sense a shift in the atmosphere. Perhaps they could turn this setback into a victory. With the plan set in motion, the team rallied together to organize the Customer Appreciation Day. Mr. Thompson was relentless, encouraging everyone to reach out to past customers and share the news. As the day approached, the staff decorated the dealership, setting up booths for refreshments, car wash stations, and activities for families. Mr. Thompson was hands-on, engaging with each member of the team, reinforcing their shared mission. "Let's make this a day they won't forget," he said with enthusiasm. On the day of the event, the dealership was buzzing with excitement. Families arrived, laughter and chatter filling the air as they enjoyed the free refreshments and activities. Mr. Thompson took a moment to step back and observe. He felt a swell of pride as he watched his team interacting with customers, smiling and building relationships that had once seemed impossible. But just as things began to feel perfect, the young salesman who had doubted him gathered in a corner, casting wary glances at the festivities. "Do you really think this is going to change anything?" one of them scoffed, crossing his arms. "Yes, it is," shouted a more optimistic teammate, stepping forward. "People are here because they feel valued now. Mr. Thompson is changing everything for the better." The naysayer smirked. "We'll see how long that lasts." Just then, a familiar face emerged from the crowd, a former customer who had left a negative review. Mr. Thompson's heart raced as he recognized the man, wondering if this was a potential disaster waiting to unfold. Mr. Thompson approached the man with a smile, determined to turn any negativity into a positive interaction. "Welcome back. I'm glad you could join us today." The former customer, visibly surprised, responded cautiously. "I didn't expect to see you here, honestly. I came to see if you've really changed anything." Mr. Thompson nodded, his demeanor calm and welcoming. "I understand your concerns. We've been working hard to ensure that every customer feels valued and respected. Would you be willing to share your feedback with me today?" As they spoke, Mr. Thompson listened intently, taking notes and expressing gratitude for the man's honesty. The conversation shifted from confrontation to constructive dialogue, with the customer beginning to see the sincerity in Mr. Thompson's efforts. Nearby, customers began to gather, intrigued by their discussion. Other patrons chimed in, sharing their own positive experiences since the change in management. Just as the conversation reached a breakthrough, one of the young salesmen interrupted, trying to undermine Mr. Thompson's authority. "You really think he cares about you? He's just trying to save face after that article." The crowd turned, whispers circulating as the tension in the air thickened. Mr. Thompson took a deep breath, ready to face the challenge head-on. The young salesman's words hung heavily in the air, and Mr. Thompson knew he had to act quickly to defuse the situation. "I appreciate your concern," he addressed the crowd, turning toward the salesman. "But I assure you, I am here for my customers, and I genuinely want to listen to your feedback." The tension began to ease as Mr. Thompson maintained his composure, inviting the former customer and others to join him in a round-table discussion. As the group gathered, they shared their thoughts, fears, and hopes for the dealership. Mr. Thompson listened intently, taking notes and making commitments to address their concerns. The young salesman, seeing the crowd's reaction, retreated back into the shadows, realizing his attempt to undermine Mr. Thompson was failing. For the first time, Mr. Thompson felt a wave of support wash over him. Customers were willing to stand by him, and in that moment, he understood that change was possible. As the day came to an end, the dealership had transformed into a lively community hub. Mr. Thompson's heart swelled with pride, but he knew the battle wasn't over. The rivalry with the other dealership was brewing, and he sensed that a confrontation was on the horizon. Word of Mr. Thompson's Customer Appreciation Day spread quickly, capturing the attention of the rival dealership. They decided to take action, planning to host their own event to overshadow Mr. Thompson's progress. The competition intensified as both dealerships prepared for their respective events, each vying for the community's attention. Mr. Thompson learned of the rival dealership's plans and knew he had to stay ahead. The day of the rival dealership's event arrived, and Mr. Thompson's team was buzzing with anticipation. "We need to make a splash," he said, rallying his staff. "Let's show the community who we are and what we stand for." As Mr. Thompson's event began, he received an email from the rival dealership, challenging him to a sales contest. "May the best dealership win," it read, dripping with arrogance. Mr. Thompson knew this was not just a contest of sales. It was a chance to prove that integrity and customer care mattered more than numbers. He gathered his team, his eyes fierce with determination. "We will accept their challenge, but we will do it our way, by putting our customers first." The contest day arrived, and the atmosphere was charged with excitement and tension. Mr. Thompson's dealership was packed with eager customers, all excited to be part of something larger. Both dealerships launched their promotional strategies, and the rivalry escalated. Mr. Thompson decided to focus on his core values, emphasizing the personal touch that set them apart. With every sale made, Mr. Thompson felt the weight of the moment. He knew that this contest was more than just sales. It was about proving that a business could thrive on respect and trust. As the day progressed, things began to spiral out of control when a malfunction occurred at Mr. Thompson's dealership, causing confusion and frustration among customers. With only a few hours left in the contest, Mr. Thompson was faced with the decision to either cut his losses or double down and find a way to rally his team and customers. The countdown to the contest's conclusion had begun. Despite the setbacks, Mr. Thompson refused to back down. He gathered his staff for a quick huddle. "Listen, everyone. We've faced challenges, but we're here for our customers. Let's pull together and show them what we're made of," he urged, igniting a spark of determination in his team. With renewed vigor, the team worked tirelessly to resolve the issues, communicating openly with customers and offering solutions. Their transparency and commitment won over even the most frustrated patrons. As the final hours of the contest ticked away, Mr. Thompson saw the genuine smiles of satisfied customers who felt valued and appreciated. When the dust settled, Mr. Thompson's dealership not only met the sales goal, but exceeded it. In a surprising turn of events, the rival dealership's shady tactics were exposed, revealing they had misled customers with false promotions. As the results were announced, Mr. Thompson stood before a cheering crowd, feeling the weight of success and the joy of transformation. The celebration was bittersweet, knowing the rivalry was far from over. With the contest behind him, Mr. Thompson turned his attention to long-term strategies. He wanted to build a dealership that would stand the test of time, where customers felt like family. He initiated new programs, such as community outreach and mentorship for young, aspiring salespeople, ensuring that the values of respect and integrity were woven into the fabric of the dealership. Mr. Thompson found joy in watching his team grow, their confidence blossoming as they embraced the new culture he had cultivated. The positive changes at the dealership began to attract media attention, and soon Mr. Thompson was invited to speak at industry conferences, sharing his story of transformation. Just as things seemed to settle into a positive routine, a familiar face from the rival dealership appeared at one of Mr. Thompson's events, bringing with him news that would shake the foundation of everything Mr. Thompson had built. As the event came to a close, Mr. Thompson took the stage, feeling a mix of excitement and trepidation. He wanted to inspire others with his story and his vision. "Thank you all for being here today," he began. "What we've built together is more than just a dealership. It's a community where every voice matters. I challenge each of you to carry this message forward, to show kindness and integrity in everything you do." Mr. Thompson encouraged the audience to reflect on their own experiences and consider how they could impact their communities positively. He shared stories of customers who had transformed from skeptics to loyal supporters, illustrating the power of connection and respect. As he stepped off the stage, Mr. Thompson received a phone call that would change everything, an opportunity to expand his vision on a national scale, but it would come with significant risks. "Are you ready to take this leap?" he asked himself, feeling the weight of the moment and the excitement of what lay ahead. As the months turned into years, Mr. Thompson's dealership thrived, and his legacy grew. The Community Scholarship Program became a hallmark of the dealership, with dozens of students graduating and entering the automotive industry with the skills and values they had learned under his guidance. Mr. Thompson frequently visited local high schools and community colleges, inspiring students to consider careers in the automotive field. He spoke passionately about the importance of integrity, hard work, and community, drawing crowds eager to listen. On one particularly memorable day, he returned to the high school where he had struggled as a student. He stood before the assembly, a proud smile on his face, knowing he was finally making a difference. "I once sat where you are, uncertain of my future," he began. "But I found my way through hard work and perseverance. You can do the same." The students responded enthusiastically, asking questions about careers and what it took to succeed. Many were inspired by his story and began to see the automotive industry in a new light. Amidst the excitement, Mr. Thompson received a call from a large corporation interested in partnering with his dealership to launch an innovative training program for young mechanics. It was an opportunity that could benefit his community even further, but required careful consideration. The offer from the corporation was compelling, promising resources, training materials, and industry connections that could elevate the scholarship program to new heights. Mr. Thompson knew it could bring significant change, but feared it might also compromise the personal touch that had made his dealership successful. He called a meeting with his team, wanting to hear their thoughts. "This partnership could help us reach more students and provide them with opportunities," he explained. "But we must ensure we maintain our core values." As the team discussed the potential impacts, a younger mechanic named Sophie spoke up. "What if we could have the best of both worlds? We could incorporate their resources while keeping our community focus intact." Mr. Thompson felt a surge of pride in his team's innovative thinking. It reminded him of the collaborative spirit that had always been at the heart of their success. After weighing the options and gathering feedback from his loyal customers, Mr. Thompson decided to accept the partnership, but on his terms. "We'll integrate their training program with our community focus," he stated. "We'll ensure every student feels valued and supported, just like we always have." As the partnership rolled out, Mr. Thompson couldn't shake the feeling that challenges lay ahead. The larger corporation's influence was strong, and he would need to navigate their expectations while staying true to his vision. As the new training program launched, Mr. Thompson faced unexpected challenges. The corporate representatives were eager to see immediate results, and their demands sometimes clashed with his philosophy of fostering genuine relationships. At a meeting with the corporate team, Mr. Thompson listened as they outlined aggressive targets for student recruitment. "We need to see numbers," one executive insisted, his tone firm. "If this program is going to be successful, we can't afford to lag behind." Feeling the pressure, Mr. Thompson responded, "I understand the need for results, but we must focus on quality, not just quantity. If we rush this, we risk losing what makes this program special." The tension in the room was palpable. Mr. Thompson felt the weight of the decision resting heavily on his shoulders. He knew that adhering to the corporate agenda might sacrifice the very community values they had worked so hard to build. The community began to notice the shift. Some longtime customers expressed concern about the changes, fearing that the dealership was becoming too corporate. Mr. Thompson realized he needed to act quickly to reassure them. Determined to uphold the legacy he had created, Mr. Thompson decided to host a community forum, inviting customers to discuss their thoughts on the changes and the new program. He hoped to bridge the gap between corporate expectations and community values. The community forum drew a crowd of loyal customers, community leaders, and students interested in the automotive program. Mr. Thompson stood at the front, ready to listen. As he opened the floor for questions, the atmosphere was charged with anticipation. "I want to hear your thoughts and concerns about the changes happening here," he encouraged, his tone open and welcoming. A local business owner stood up, expressing her worry. "We've seen the dealership become a community staple. I just hope you won't lose that personal touch in favor of corporate numbers." Mr. Thompson nodded, understanding the sentiment. "I appreciate your honesty. It's important for me to ensure that our community remains at the heart of everything we do. I promise to keep those values intact." A student from the scholarship program chimed in. "I can say firsthand that the personal touch is what attracted me to this program. I wouldn't be here without it. The crowd murmured in agreement, reinforcing Mr. Thompson's belief that their focus should remain on relationships rather than just statistics. Feeling rejuvenated by the support, Mr. Thompson left the forum with a renewed commitment to blend corporate resources with community integrity. However, he knew the corporate team would not be easily swayed. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of activity as Mr. Thompson continued to push for a balance between corporate demands and community values. However, the pressure mounted as the corporate representatives grew impatient. During one particularly tense meeting, Mr. Thompson faced the executives again. "We need to see growth now," the head of the corporate team insisted. "Our stakeholders are watching closely." Mr. Thompson felt frustration rising. Growth takes time, especially when you want to maintain quality. If we push too hard, we risk alienating our customers. The executives exchanged glances, and Mr. Thompson could sense their frustration. He knew the stakes were high, but he couldn't let go of what he believed in. After a heated discussion, the corporate head dropped an ultimatum. "We need results in the next quarter, or we'll have to reconsider our investment in your dealership." Mr. Thompson left the meeting feeling conflicted. He knew he had to act quickly to find a solution that would satisfy the corporate expectations while preserving his vision. Realizing the urgency of the situation, Mr. Thompson called a team meeting to brainstorm ideas. "We need to show the corporate team that our approach works, and we can do it while staying true to our values," he urged. The staff rallied together, brainstorming marketing campaigns that highlighted their community involvement and success stories from the scholarship program. They decided to host a showcase event featuring students from the program, displaying their skills and the value of the training they had received. As the team worked together, Mr. Thompson felt a surge of pride. The camaraderie reminded him of why he had taken this journey in the first place. They were not just colleagues, they were a family, united by a shared mission. As the event approached, they faced logistical hurdles, from securing a venue to organizing student demonstrations. The pressure mounted, but Mr. Thompson encouraged everyone to stay focused on their goal. On the day of the event, Mr. Thompson's heart raced. Would their efforts pay off? Could they prove to the corporate team that community values could coexist with corporate ambitions? The day of the showcase arrived, and the dealership buzzed with excitement. The showroom was transformed into a vibrant space filled with student projects, car displays, and information booths. Customers and community members flocked to the dealership, eager to support the students and learn more about the program. Mr. Thompson stood at the entrance, welcoming everyone with a smile. "This is a celebration of our community and the future we're building together," he announced as the crowd gathered. As he spoke, he felt a sense of fulfillment wash over him. He could see the pride in the students' eyes as they demonstrated their skills, engaging with customers and sharing their passion for the automotive industry. The corporate representatives arrived, their expressions a mix of curiosity and skepticism. Mr. Thompson took a deep breath, determined to showcase the strength of their community-focused approach. As the event progressed, Mr. Thompson could see the executives exchanging glances, some of their reservations beginning to fade. But just when he thought they were on the right track, he overheard a corporate representative muttering doubts about the dealership's future. After the showcase, Mr. Thompson was overwhelmed by the positive feedback from attendees. Customers praised the dealership's commitment to community and expressed how it set them apart. The corporate representatives took notes, clearly impressed by the turnout and engagement. Mr. Thompson seized the opportunity to address them directly. "This is what we stand for," he said passionately. "Building relationships and fostering trust in our community is what drives us." The corporate team listened, some nodding in agreement. Mr. Thompson felt hope rising within him. Maybe they were starting to understand that genuine connections were invaluable. After the event, one of the executives approached Mr. Thompson, a thoughtful expression on his face. "I didn't expect this level of community engagement. Perhaps we've underestimated the importance of your approach." Mr. Thompson smiled, realizing that their perspective was beginning to shift. "Let's work together to incorporate these values into our business model moving forward," he suggested. The conversation was promising, but he knew they still had hurdles to overcome. The success of the showcase led to a pivotal meeting between Mr. Thompson and the corporate executives. They discussed ways to align corporate strategies with the dealership's community-focused approach. "Let's develop a training program that incorporates both technical skills and customer service," Mr. Thompson proposed. "We need to ensure that every student understands the importance of building relationships." The executives were receptive, recognizing the potential for this approach to resonate with customers and improve overall satisfaction. Mr. Thompson felt a surge of hope. This could be the beginning of a new chapter, one that embraced both corporate resources and community values. As they finalized their plans, Mr. Thompson received an unexpected call from a local news station. They wanted to feature his dealership in a segment highlighting businesses that positively impacted their communities. With a mix of excitement and nerves, Mr. Thompson agreed to the interview. He knew this was another opportunity to showcase the dealership's values and the community spirit that had transformed their journey. The day of the interview arrived, and the news crew set up in the dealership, capturing the vibrant atmosphere. Mr. Thompson felt a mix of anticipation and anxiety as he prepared to share his story with a wider audience. As the cameras rolled, Mr. Thompson spoke candidly about his journey, the importance of integrity, and the success of the community scholarship program. He highlighted the students who had benefited from the program, showcasing their skills and stories. He could see the pride in the eyes of the students and staff around him. Mr. Thompson felt grateful for the opportunity to represent something greater than himself, the spirit of a community coming together. During the interview, an unexpected guest arrived, one of the students who had graduated from the scholarship program and now worked as a successful mechanic. He shared his journey and how the dealership had transformed his life. The segment aired later that week, and Mr. Thompson was flooded with calls from customers expressing their support. He felt a wave of gratitude, knowing that they had built something meaningful. But he also sensed that the rival dealership would not take the news lying down. The rivalry intensified as the rival dealership watched the news segment with growing irritation. They felt threatened by Mr. Thompson's success and the positive attention his dealership was receiving. The rival dealership launched a smear campaign, spreading rumors and misinformation to undermine Mr. Thompson's reputation. "Is this really a community-focused dealership?" they questioned in ads. "Or just a facade?" Mr. Thompson felt disheartened by the attacks but refused to let it deter him. "Our customers know who we are," he reassured his team. "Let's stay focused on what matters." In response to the smear campaign, loyal customers and community members rallied behind Mr. Thompson. They took to social media, sharing their positive experiences and defending the dealership. As the online support grew, Mr. Thompson realized that this battle was about more than just business. It was about the heart of the community. He knew he needed to take a stand and confront the rival dealership head-on. Determined to protect his dealership and the values they stood for, Mr. Thompson organized a community rally to demonstrate their collective strength. He wanted to showcase the support of loyal customers and the positive impact they had made. The rally drew a large crowd, filled with families, friends, and supporters who believed in Mr. Thompson's vision. He spoke passionately, emphasizing the importance of integrity and community. "Together, we are stronger," he declared. As he spoke, Mr. Thompson felt a swell of pride in his community. They were standing together, united against negativity and celebrating the positive changes they had created. During the rally, a local reporter approached Mr. Thompson, wanting to cover the event. "This is a powerful message," she said. "Your commitment to integrity is inspiring. We want to share your story." As news of the rally spread, Mr. Thompson knew that the rival dealership would be forced to take notice. But he also knew they would retaliate, and he needed to be prepared for the challenges ahead. In the days following the rally, the atmosphere at the dealership was charged with energy and enthusiasm. However, Mr. Thompson could sense that tensions were rising with the rival dealership. The rival dealership retaliated with aggressive marketing tactics and more smear campaigns. They attempted to undermine the positive momentum that Mr. Thompson had built. Mr. Thompson felt the weight of responsibility resting on his shoulders. He was determined not to let the negativity affect his team or the community they had built. In a surprising turn of events, some former employees of the rival dealership came forward, sharing their own negative experiences and expressing their support for Mr. Thompson's values. "We believe in integrity," one former employee said, "and that's what drew us to your dealership." The tide was beginning to shift, but Mr. Thompson knew that the rivalry would not end without a fight. He felt a renewed sense of determination to show the community that their values would triumph. As the rivalry escalated, Mr. Thompson realized that rather than perpetuating the conflict, he could take a different approach. He invited the rival dealership to a meeting, hoping to bridge the gap and discuss their differences. In the meeting, Mr. Thompson was candid about his intentions. "I believe we can both succeed without tearing each other down. The automotive industry can be about community, not competition." The rival dealership's management was taken aback by Mr. Thompson's approach. They had expected hostility, but instead found a genuine desire for collaboration. After some discussion, they agreed to co-host a charity event to support local organizations. It was a way to shift the focus from rivalry to community collaboration. As the details of the event were finalized, Mr. Thompson felt a sense of hope. But he knew there would still be skeptics, and he needed to ensure that the community saw this as a true partnership. The day of the charity event arrived, and the atmosphere was filled with anticipation. Both dealerships worked together, organizing activities, food, and entertainment for the community. The event attracted a large crowd, and Mr. Thompson felt a surge of excitement as families enjoyed the festivities. "This is what it's all about," he thought, watching everyone come together. As he mingled with guests, Mr. Thompson saw the smiles on people's faces. The sense of unity reminded him of why he had started this journey, to build a community that valued support and integrity. During the event, a local news crew arrived to cover the story, capturing the positive energy and collaboration. The segment aired later that week, showcasing how two rival dealerships came together for the greater good. The positive exposure put both dealerships in the spotlight, leading to more customers wanting to support a community-focused initiative. But Mr. Thompson wondered if the rival dealership would truly embrace this change or revert to their old ways. In the aftermath of the charity event, both dealerships experienced a surge in interest from customers eager to support their community. Mr. Thompson realized that they had created a new path forward, one based on collaboration rather than competition. With renewed energy, Mr. Thompson and the rival dealership discussed future collaborative events, focusing on community outreach and support. "Together, we can achieve so much more," Mr. Thompson said during a joint meeting, and he could see the transformation in the rival management's demeanor. They began to believe that collaboration was the way forward. As the dealerships worked together, they discovered shared values and a common goal: to make a positive impact on the community and the industry as a whole. Just as things seemed to settle into a productive rhythm, Mr. Thompson received a call from an unexpected source, a corporate giant looking to invest in their combined efforts, offering a chance to expand their community initiatives on a much larger scale. The offer from the corporate giant was enticing, promising resources and funding to expand their collaborative efforts. However, Mr. Thompson felt a familiar sense of unease. He gathered his team to discuss the opportunity. "This could be a game changer for our community initiatives," he said, but he also acknowledged the risks that came with corporate involvement. The team shared their concerns about losing the personal touch and the community-focused approach they had fought so hard to build. Sophie, the young mechanic, spoke up. "What if we set clear boundaries? We can work with them, but only if they respect our values and allow us to remain true to our mission." Mr. Thompson nodded, appreciating the perspective. "If we do this, we'll need to negotiate terms that protect our community focus." He felt a renewed sense of purpose as they prepared to approach the corporate representatives. The negotiations with the corporate giant began, and Mr. Thompson entered the discussions with a clear vision. He was determined to ensure that their values were upheld throughout the partnership. In the meeting, Mr. Thompson laid out his terms. "We're excited about the potential for collaboration, but we need to ensure that our community-focused approach is at the forefront of any initiatives." As the corporate representatives listened, Mr. Thompson felt a surge of confidence. He was no longer the timid dealership owner. He was a leader advocating for his community. The corporate team agreed to consider his terms, intrigued by the idea of a partnership that prioritized community engagement. With a sense of cautious optimism, Mr. Thompson left the meeting. He knew that this partnership could be transformative, but he also understood the need to remain vigilant to protect the integrity of their vision. As the partnership with the corporate giant took shape, Mr. Thompson's dealership began to see significant benefits. Funding poured in for community initiatives, and the scholarship program expanded to include more students. Mr. Thompson organized community workshops that provided valuable skills training, automotive knowledge, and career opportunities for local youth. At one workshop, he saw the faces of eager students soaking in the knowledge, their excitement palpable. He felt a sense of fulfillment, knowing they were paving a brighter future. The collaboration also opened doors to partnerships with other local businesses, creating a network of support that fostered community engagement. But as their influence grew, so did scrutiny from competitors who saw Mr. Thompson's dealership as a threat to their outdated methods. The rival dealership, now a partner, had to navigate the complexities of their position in the industry. As Mr. Thompson's dealership gained recognition, competitors began to take notice. The rival dealership faced pressure to conform to old-school methods and revert to more aggressive tactics. During a joint meeting, the rival dealership's management expressed concern about potential backlash from competitors. "We need to stay on our toes. They won't let this go unnoticed," one manager said. Mr. Thompson felt the weight of the situation. They had built something meaningful together, and he refused to allow negativity to tear them apart. "Let's focus on our success," Mr. Thompson suggested. "The community supports us because we've shown them a better way. We need to double down on our commitment to integrity and collaboration." As the discussion continued, Mr. Thompson received an urgent call. There had been rumors spreading about the partnership, and they needed to act quickly to quell any concerns from the community. Mr. Thompson knew he had to address the rumors head-on. He called an emergency meeting with both dealerships to devise a strategy. "We need transparency," he stated firmly. "Let's host a town hall meeting to address any concerns the community may have and reaffirm our commitment to them." The team rallied around the idea, energized by the prospect of confronting the rumors directly. Mr. Thompson felt a sense of solidarity among them, united by their common goal. As they planned the meeting, they faced opposition from skeptics in the community who were resistant to change. Some had grown comfortable with the old ways and feared the unknown. Determined to break through the skepticism, Mr. Thompson prepared for the town hall, ready to reassure the community that their values would always come first. But deep down, he felt a nagging worry. What if the fears were too deeply ingrained to overcome? The night of the town hall arrived, and the atmosphere was electric with anticipation. Mr. Thompson stood at the front of the room, facing a crowd of familiar faces and some skeptical newcomers. He began by addressing the rumors directly. "I understand there are concerns about our partnership, but I want to assure you that our commitment to our community remains unchanged." As he spoke, he saw nods of understanding, but also frowns of uncertainty. He knew he had to connect with them on a personal level. This dealership isn't just a business, it's a family that includes each and every one of you. A longtime customer stood up, her voice strong. "I trust you, Mr. Thompson. You've always put us first, and that's what matters." Encouraged by the support, Mr. Thompson pressed on. "Together, we can build a brighter future, one that respects our values while embracing growth." But he could see the skepticism in the eyes of some, and he knew the battle was far from over. Following the town hall, Mr. Thompson felt a mix of hope and lingering doubts. While many supported the partnership, others remained unconvinced, and he knew they had to prove their intentions through actions. Over the next few weeks, they organized community outreach events, volunteering at local charities and hosting free car maintenance workshops. As he watched his team come together to support the community, Mr. Thompson felt the warmth of purpose. They were showing their commitment, and it was beginning to resonate with the community. During one workshop, a local reporter showed up, capturing the positive impact they were making. The article highlighted how the dealership was living up to its promises, bolstering the community's trust. However, as the article gained traction, the rival dealership escalated their smear campaign, determined to undermine Mr. Thompson's success and draw attention away from the positive initiatives. Faced with renewed opposition, Mr. Thompson gathered his team to strategize. "We need to remain steadfast and focus on the community," he said, inspiring confidence in their mission. The team decided to launch a new campaign called Cars with Heart, emphasizing their commitment to community service and customer care. They shared stories of how their initiatives were positively impacting the lives of locals. Mr. Thompson felt a surge of pride as the campaign gained momentum, showcasing their dedication and reminding the community of the dealership's core values. Customers began to share their stories on social media, using the hashtag #CarsWithHeart. The movement gained traction, spreading across the region and drawing attention to the positive changes taking place. Despite the success of the campaign, Mr. Thompson knew the rival dealership wouldn't back down easily. Tensions continued to rise, and he braced himself for what would come next. The rival dealership, feeling threatened by the success of Cars with Heart, issued a public challenge to Mr. Thompson. They announced a showdown event, inviting both dealerships to compete in a series of automotive-related challenges. The event would be broadcasted live, putting both dealerships under scrutiny. Mr. Thompson faced a difficult decision. Should he accept the challenge and risk the dealership's reputation, or take the high road and ignore it? Mr. Thompson gathered his team, discussing the implications. "This is more than just a competition. It's about our values. If we go in, we need to show what we stand for." The team ultimately decided to accept the challenge, determined to prove their commitment to integrity and community spirit. They would compete, but on their terms. As the event date approached, Mr. Thompson felt the weight of responsibility. He knew the stakes were high, and the outcome could significantly impact their reputation. On the day of the showdown, the atmosphere was electric. The event attracted a large crowd, with the locals eager to see the competition between the two dealerships. The challenges were set to test both dealerships' automotive knowledge and skills. Mr. Thompson's team was ready, motivated to show that their values mattered more than victory. As the competition unfolded, Mr. Thompson could see his team's dedication shine through. They supported each other, showcasing their expertise while maintaining their integrity. During one of the challenges, the rival dealership's team attempted to sabotage their efforts, but Mr. Thompson's team remained calm and focused, showcasing true sportsmanship. As the final challenge approached, Mr. Thompson felt a surge of determination. "No matter the outcome, we will show them who we are," he declared, ready to lead his team into the final round. The final challenge was a test of teamwork, requiring both dealerships to work together to complete a complex automotive task. Mr. Thompson felt a sense of unease, wondering if the rival team would continue their underhanded tactics. As the challenge began, both teams dove into their tasks. Mr. Thompson's team remained focused on collaboration and integrity, while the rival team struggled with their cooperation. Midway through the challenge, Mr. Thompson noticed a member of the rival team struggling with the task. Instead of taking advantage, he called out, "Need a hand?" The rival team was taken aback but reluctantly accepted the help, showing a moment of respect. Mr. Thompson's selfless act drew applause from the crowd, shifting the energy of the competition. It showcased their commitment to community over competition. As they neared the finish line, Mr. Thompson felt a renewed sense of pride. Would this act of integrity help them emerge victorious, not just in the challenge, but in the hearts of the community? As the final challenge concluded, Both teams stood side by side, visibly exhausted but proud of their efforts. The audience erupted in applause, and Mr. Thompson felt a sense of accomplishment. The judges announced that both dealerships would be declared winners, recognizing the spirit of collaboration and integrity that had emerged from the competition. Mr. Thompson felt tears of joy welling up as he saw the smiles on his team's faces. They had shown the community that values mattered more than winning. The rival dealership's management approached Mr. Thompson after the event, acknowledging the positive change in their relationship. "You've shown us that it's possible to compete without losing sight of what's important." With a handshake and newfound respect, both dealerships began discussing collaborative community initiatives moving forward, united by their shared experiences. In the weeks following the showdown, the atmosphere at both dealerships shifted. They began working together on joint initiatives that focused on community engagement and support. Mr. Thompson and the rival dealership's team organized charity drives, workshops, and community events that brought people together and made a positive impact. The partnerships blossomed, and Mr. Thompson felt a deep sense of fulfillment as he watched his vision for collaboration come to life. The community responded enthusiastically, flocking to both dealerships to support their initiatives. Mr. Thompson saw a surge in business as people appreciated the commitment to community values. As success grew, Mr. Thompson received a call from a prestigious automotive association, inviting him to speak at a national conference about the power of community-focused business practices. The invitation to speak at the national conference was a turning point for Mr. Thompson. He knew he had an opportunity to share his journey and inspire others in the industry. As he prepared his speech, he reflected on the challenges and victories he had faced. He wanted to emphasize the importance of community, integrity, and collaboration. On the day of the conference, Mr. Thompson stood on stage, looking out at an audience of automotive professionals. He felt a mix of excitement and nervousness, but knew he had a powerful message to share. As he shared his story, detailing the struggles and triumphs of his dealership, he saw heads nodding in understanding. He was resonating with their experiences. By the end of his speech, the room erupted in applause. Mr. Thompson felt overwhelmed with gratitude, knowing that he had inspired others to consider the importance of values in their businesses. The response from the conference was overwhelmingly positive. Mr. Thompson's story began to circulate within the automotive industry, inspiring others to embrace community-focused practices. He was invited to participate in panel discussions and workshops across the country, sharing insights on building relationships and prioritizing integrity. As he traveled, he met other dealership owners who were eager to learn from his experiences. Mr. Thompson felt a sense of purpose in helping others navigate their challenges. He soon discovered that a movement was forming. Dealerships nationwide began adopting similar initiatives, emphasizing community involvement and ethical practices. With each event, Mr. Thompson felt the weight of responsibility. He knew that this movement could change the industry, but it also required ongoing commitment and vigilance. As the movement grew, Mr. Thompson took time to reflect on his journey. He realized that the changes in the automotive industry mirrored the transformations within himself and his community. He sat in his office one quiet evening, looking at the awards and recognition he had received. They were important, but what mattered most was the impact on people's lives. Mr. Thompson recalled the faces of students who had benefited from the scholarship program, families who had found support, and community members who had rallied together. He understood that legacy wasn't just about success. It was about leaving a positive mark on the world, one that would inspire future generations. As he contemplated the future, he felt a renewed sense of determination. The journey was far from over, and he was ready to take the next steps in building an even brighter future. With the movement taking root, Mr. Thompson decided to host a major community event to celebrate their achievements and lay the groundwork for future initiatives. The event drew thousands, featuring workshops, car showcases, and student demonstrations. It was a celebration of the community spirit that had defined their journey. As he walked through the crowd, Mr. Thompson felt a sense of belonging. This was more than just a dealership. It was a family united by shared values and purpose. During the event, he announced the launch of a new initiative, an automotive innovation lab aimed at teaching students about the latest technologies and preparing them for careers in the industry. The crowd erupted in applause, and Mr. Thompson knew they were on the brink of something truly transformative. He felt energized, ready to lead the charge into a new era for the automotive industry. As the excitement of the community event faded, Mr. Thompson faced unforeseen obstacles. The rival dealership, feeling threatened by the movement, began spreading false rumors and misinformation again. Mr. Thompson received calls from concerned customers who had heard the latest rumors. He gathered his team to strategize how to combat the negativity and reassure the community. He knew that the trust they had built was at risk, and he was determined to protect it. "We've come too far to let this undermine our mission," he said, rallying his team. A few community leaders stepped forward to help counter the rumors, offering public statements of support for Mr. Thompson and the initiatives he had implemented. The tide was beginning to turn, but Mr. Thompson knew they had to stay vigilant. As the situation unfolded, he prepared for a confrontation with the rival dealership, ready to defend the values they had built together. The time for confrontation arrived as Mr. Thompson requested a meeting with the rival dealership's management to address the ongoing smear campaign. Sitting across from the rival management team, Mr. Thompson spoke directly. "The rumors you've been spreading are damaging not just to my dealership, but to the community we both serve." He felt a sense of resolve, knowing he was standing up for what was right. "We can be competitors without resorting to underhanded tactics. The community deserves better." The rival team appeared taken aback by Mr. Thompson's directness. One manager shifted uncomfortably, realizing the potential consequences of their actions. As the conversation progressed, Mr. Thompson could sense the tension in the room. Would they acknowledge the damage they were causing, or would they continue down a path of negativity? After hours of discussion, the rival dealership's management began to reconsider their approach. They acknowledged that the smear campaign had backfired, damaging their own reputation in the process. Mr. Thompson offered a path forward. "Let's work together to promote positive change in our community. Together, we can be a force for good in this industry." As they discussed potential collaborative initiatives, Mr. Thompson felt a sense of hope. Perhaps this was the turning point he had been waiting for. The rival dealership agreed to partner on a community initiative aimed at local youth, focusing on mentorship and skills training in the automotive industry. With the agreement in place, Mr. Thompson felt a surge of excitement. They had turned a moment of conflict into an opportunity for growth, but he knew that maintaining this new relationship would require continued effort and vigilance. With the partnership solidified, Mr. Thompson and the rival dealership began to plan their first joint initiative, a mentorship program for local students interested in automotive careers. The program aimed to connect students with industry professionals, providing hands-on training and valuable insights into the automotive field. Mr. Thompson felt a deep sense of satisfaction as he saw students excited about their futures. This was the impact he had envisioned when he first opened the dealership. The community rallied around the initiative, with local businesses offering resources and support. The momentum was palpable, and Mr. Thompson felt grateful for the collaboration. As the program launched, Mr. Thompson received a call from a major automotive magazine interested in featuring their story. It was an opportunity to showcase their commitment to community and integrity on a national stage. The feature in the automotive magazine brought unprecedented attention to Mr. Thompson's dealership and the collaborative initiatives with the rival dealership. As the article gained traction, inquiries poured in from dealerships across the country interested in adopting similar community-focused practices. Mr. Thompson felt a sense of pride as he read the positive feedback from industry professionals and community members alike. They were inspiring change beyond their own dealership. However, not everyone was pleased with the attention. Some competitors expressed their discontent, fearing the shift in the industry would threaten their outdated methods. As the national recognition grew, Mr. Thompson knew they were at a critical juncture. Would they be able to withstand the pressure and continue making a difference in the automotive world? With the spotlight on their dealerships, Mr. Thompson and his team worked tirelessly to navigate the changes in the industry. They received invitations to speak at conferences, sharing their journey and advocating for community-focused practices. Mr. Thompson participated in panels and workshops, sharing insights on the importance of integrity, collaboration, and community engagement. Each time he spoke, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. His message resonated with others, inspiring them to consider how they could create positive change in their own communities. As their influence grew, they began to receive requests from schools and organizations to partner on initiatives aimed at empowering young people in the automotive industry. While the recognition was gratifying, Mr. Thompson understood that maintaining their values would require ongoing vigilance. He wondered how they would balance growth with their commitment to integrity. Determined to uphold their commitment to values, Mr. Thompson called a meeting with his team. "We need to establish a set of guiding principles that reflect our mission and values moving forward," he stated. Together, they crafted a mission statement that emphasized integrity, community, and collaboration. It would serve as a foundation for all future initiatives. As they discussed the principles, Mr. Thompson felt a sense of unity within the team. They were all committed to building a legacy that would endure. The guiding principles resonated not only with the team, but also with the community, reinforcing their trust in the dealership. Customers appreciated the transparency and dedication to ethical practices. As the principles were shared with the public, Mr. Thompson received a call from a national automotive organization, inviting them to participate in a panel discussion about the future of the industry and the importance of community engagement. The panel discussion provided Mr. Thompson with a platform to share his vision with industry leaders from across the country. He felt a mix of excitement and nerves as he prepared for the event. During the discussion, Mr. Thompson articulated the importance of community involvement, ethical practices, and collaboration. He emphasized how these values could drive success in the automotive industry. With the agreement in place, Mr. Thompson felt a surge of excitement. They had turned a moment of conflict into an opportunity for growth, but he knew that maintaining this new relationship would require continued effort and vigilance. With the partnership solidified, Mr. Thompson and the rival dealership began to plan their first joint initiative, a mentorship program for local students interested in automotive careers. The program aimed to connect students with industry professionals, providing hands-on training and valuable insights into the automotive field. Mr. Thompson felt a deep sense of satisfaction as he saw students excited about their futures. This was the impact he had envisioned when he first opened the dealership. The community rallied around the initiative, with local businesses offering resources and support. The momentum was palpable, and Mr. Thompson felt grateful for the collaboration. As the program launched, Mr. Thompson received a call from a major automotive magazine interested in featuring their story. It was an opportunity to showcase their commitment to community and integrity on a national stage. The feature in the automotive magazine brought unprecedented attention to Mr. Thompson's dealership and the collaborative initiatives with the rival dealership. As the article gained traction, inquiries poured in from dealerships across the country interested in adopting similar community-focused practices. Mr. Thompson felt a sense of pride as he read the positive feedback from industry professionals and community members alike. They were inspiring change beyond their own dealership. However, not everyone was pleased with the attention. Some competitors expressed their discontent, fearing the shift in the industry would threaten their outdated methods. As the national recognition grew, Mr. Thompson knew they were at a critical juncture. Would they be able to withstand the pressure and continue making a difference in the automotive world? With the spotlight on their dealerships, Mr. Thompson and his team worked tirelessly to navigate the changes in the industry. They received invitations to speak at conferences, sharing their journey and advocating for community-focused practices. Mr. Thompson participated in panels and workshops, sharing insights on the importance of integrity, collaboration, and community engagement. Each time he spoke, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. His message resonated with others, inspiring them to consider how they could create positive change in their own communities. As their influence grew, they began to receive requests from schools and organizations to partner on initiatives aimed at empowering young people in the automotive industry. While the recognition was gratifying, Mr. Thompson understood that maintaining their values would require ongoing vigilance. He wondered how they would balance growth with their commitment to integrity. Determined to uphold their commitment to values, Mr. Thompson called a meeting with his team. "We need to establish a set of guiding principles that reflect our mission and values moving forward," he stated. Together, they crafted a mission statement that emphasized integrity, community, and collaboration. It would serve as a foundation for all future initiatives. As they discussed the principles, Mr. Thompson felt a sense of unity within the team. They were all committed to building a legacy that would endure. The guiding principles resonated not only with the team, but also with the community, reinforcing their trust in the dealership. Customers appreciated the transparency and dedication to ethical practices. As the principles were shared with the public, Mr. Thompson received a call from a national automotive organization, inviting them to participate in a panel discussion about the future of the industry and the importance of community engagement. The panel discussion provided Mr. Thompson with a platform to share his vision with industry leaders from across the country. He felt a mix of excitement and nerves as he prepared for the event. During the discussion, Mr. Thompson articulated the importance of community involvement, ethical practices, and collaboration. He emphasized how these values could drive success in the automotive industry. As he spoke, he saw heads nodding in agreement, and he felt a surge of hope. Perhaps this would inspire others to follow suit and prioritize integrity over profits. The panel ended with a Q&A session, where industry leaders expressed interest in learning more about the community initiatives Mr. Thompson had implemented. With newfound connections and support, Mr. Thompson felt the momentum shifting. But he also knew that maintaining these relationships would require continued effort and dedication. In the weeks following the panel discussion, Mr. Thompson received numerous inquiries from dealerships interested in implementing similar community-focused initiatives. He began hosting workshops and training sessions, sharing best practices and strategies for building community relationships. As he watched other dealership owners become inspired, Mr. Thompson felt a deep sense of fulfillment. This was what he had envisioned, a movement that transcended competition. The National Automotive Organization recognized his efforts, awarding Mr. Thompson a prestigious accolade for his contributions to the industry and community. As he prepared to accept the award, Mr. Thompson realized that the journey was far from over. He would need to continue advocating for change and ensuring that their values remained at the forefront of the industry. The night of the award ceremony arrived, and Mr. Thompson felt a mixture of excitement and humility as he prepared to accept the recognition for his contributions. As he stood on stage, he reflected on the journey that had brought him to this moment. He was surrounded by friends, family, and colleagues who had supported him throughout the years. "Tonight, I accept this award not just for myself but for every individual who believes in the power of community," he began, his voice steady. "Together, we can make a difference." As he spoke, he saw familiar faces in the audience, students from the scholarship program, customers, and even the rival dealership's team. They had all come to support the movement. With a heart full of gratitude, Mr. Thompson concluded his speech, knowing that the recognition was just the beginning. He felt a renewed commitment to continue championing community values in the automotive industry. In the weeks following the awards ceremony, Mr. Thompson focused on expanding the community initiatives they had started. He felt a sense of responsibility to maintain the momentum they had built. He collaborated with local organizations to develop programs aimed at youth development and career readiness, ensuring that the next generation had opportunities to succeed. As he watched students thrive in the programs, Mr. Thompson felt a sense of pride. They were not just building a dealership, They were building a legacy of empowerment. The partnership with the rival dealership deepened as they worked together on community initiatives, creating a strong alliance that resonated with the public. As Mr. Thompson received positive feedback and support from the community, he sensed that a major change was brewing in the automotive industry. Would the focus on community values become the new norm? The success of Mr. Thompson's initiatives inspired a shift within the automotive industry. Other dealerships began adopting community-focused practices, and the movement continued to gain traction. As more dealerships joined the movement, Mr. Thompson felt a sense of pride in the impact they were making. They were redefining what it meant to be a successful business in the automotive world. The positive changes resonated with customers who appreciated the shift toward integrity and community involvement. Mr. Thompson saw the fruits of their labor manifest in the community. The National Automotive Organization approached Mr. Thompson to lead a committee focused on promoting community engagement across the industry. As he accepted the role, Mr. Thompson realized that the journey was far from over. He was ready to continue advocating for change, but he also understood the importance of remaining vigilant to protect their values. With the new role came increased responsibilities, and Mr. Thompson embraced the challenge. He organized workshops and training sessions for dealerships interested in adopting community-focused practices. As he traveled across the country, sharing his experiences, Mr. Thompson felt empowered. He was helping others understand the importance of values in business. The connections he made with fellow dealership owners fueled his passion. He could see the excitement in their eyes as they began to envision a future built on integrity. The momentum gained traction, and soon Mr. Thompson was invited to speak at major industry conferences, sharing his insights and advocating for the importance of community engagement. As he prepared for his next speaking engagement, he realized that their journey had the potential to reach new heights. But would the industry fully embrace this transformative shift? As Mr. Thompson continued to advocate for community-focused practices, he saw a shift in the automotive industry's culture. Dealerships began prioritizing relationships and integrity, fostering a sense of collaboration. He established a network of dealerships committed to community engagement, creating a support system for sharing best practices and resources. Mr. Thompson felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that their efforts were creating lasting change. The positive impact on communities resonated throughout the industry. As the movement gained momentum, national publications began covering the story, highlighting how community values could transform the automotive landscape. With each article and feature, Mr. Thompson realized that the world was taking notice. But as the spotlight shone brighter, he also sensed that challenges lay ahead, and he needed to stay committed to their values. As the movement grew, so did the scrutiny. Competitors who had resisted change began to push back, attempting to undermine Mr. Thompson's efforts and discredit the values he stood for. Mr. Thompson faced criticism from some industry leaders who believed that the shift toward community engagement would dilute profitability. Determined to prove them wrong, Mr. Thompson continued to advocate for the importance of integrity, sharing success stories that illustrated the impact of their initiatives. As he spoke out against the negativity, he received messages of support from community members and customers who valued the changes they had seen. With growing support from the community, Mr. Thompson knew they had the potential to overcome the challenges, but he also understood that they needed to be prepared for the obstacles that lay ahead. With the challenges mounting, Mr. Thompson called a meeting with his team to discuss strategies for navigating the negativity. "We need to stay focused on our mission and our values," he emphasized. Together, they brainstormed ways to amplify their community initiatives and reinforce their commitment to integrity. They developed a plan to highlight the success stories of students and families impacted by their programs. Mr. Thompson felt a renewed sense of purpose as he watched his team rally around the mission. They were committed to standing strong in the face of adversity. The renewed focus on community stories resonated with customers, drawing more support to the dealership. Social media buzzed with positive messages, showcasing the impact of their initiatives. As the momentum shifted, Mr. Thompson knew they had to continue fighting for what they believed in. Would the industry's culture truly change, or would resistance continue to push back against their progress? As the movement gained momentum, Mr. Thompson faced a test of resolve. A major competitor launched a public relations campaign aimed at discrediting community-focused practices, framing them as detrimental to business. Mr. Thompson remained undeterred, knowing that integrity would prevail. He organized a press conference to address the misconceptions head-on and share the successes of their community initiatives. Standing before reporters, he spoke passionately about the importance of community engagement. "We're not just selling cars, we're building relationships that last a lifetime," he asserted. To reinforce his message, Mr. Thompson invited students from the scholarship program to join him at the conference. They shared their stories, showcasing the positive impact the dealership had on their lives. As the press conference concluded, Mr. Thompson felt a wave of hope. The students' testimonies resonated with the audience, but he knew the real battle was just beginning. In the days following the press conference, Mr. Thompson received an outpouring of support from the community and industry leaders who appreciated his commitment to integrity. As positive news coverage continued, more dealerships began reaching out to learn about the community-focused practices Mr. Thompson had implemented. Mr. Thompson felt a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that the fight for change was worth every challenge. He was determined to prove that ethical practices could thrive in the automotive industry. As he connected with other dealership owners, they began collaborating on initiatives that would elevate the movement further, creating a powerful coalition for change. With each partnership formed, Mr. Thompson felt the momentum building. But he knew that the competition would not relent easily, and he needed to stay vigilant in defending their values. With the coalition of community-focused dealerships growing, Mr. Thompson organized a summit to unite industry leaders interested in embracing positive change. The summit drew attention from across the country, with dealership owners eager to learn about the success of community initiatives and how they could implement similar practices. Mr. Thompson felt a sense of pride as he watched industry leaders engage in meaningful discussions about the future of the automotive world. The event featured success stories from students and community members, illustrating the transformative impact of the coalition's initiatives. As the summit concluded, Mr. Thompson felt hopeful for the future, but he also recognized that challenges would continue to arise, and he needed to be prepared to navigate them. As the coalition expanded, Mr. Thompson encountered increasing resistance from competitors who felt threatened by the growing movement. Some competitors launched aggressive marketing campaigns, attempting to undermine the coalition's initiatives and frame them as ineffective. Mr. Thompson felt the weight of responsibility to protect the values they had built. He knew that the community relied on their leadership to champion integrity. In response to the resistance, the coalition launched a public awareness campaign, showcasing the positive impact of their initiatives on communities across the nation. As the campaign gained momentum, Mr. Thompson sensed that the tide was beginning to turn, but he also understood that they needed to remain vigilant to protect their values from external threats. The public awareness campaign received overwhelming support, with customers and community members rallying around the coalition's message of integrity and collaboration. As positive stories circulated, Mr. Thompson noticed a shift in public perception. More customers were choosing community-focused dealerships over traditional competitors. He felt a sense of hope as he saw families embracing the values of the coalition, understanding that supporting local businesses meant investing in their communities. The increased interest led to invitations for Mr. Thompson to speak at conferences and industry events, where he could share their journey and inspire others to adopt similar practices. As he prepared for his next speaking engagement, Mr. Thompson realized that they were at a critical juncture. Would the momentum continue to build, or would they face new challenges as they pushed for change? At the speaking engagement, Mr. Thompson addressed a diverse audience of automotive professionals, policymakers, and community leaders. He shared the impact of the coalition and the importance of community-focused practices. Together, we can redefine the automotive industry, he declared, emphasizing the power of collaboration and integrity. As he spoke passionately about the positive change they were creating, he felt a surge of energy in the room. The audience was engaged and eager to learn more. After the speech, several industry leaders approached Mr. Thompson, expressing interest in joining the coalition and supporting community initiatives. With each new partnership formed, Mr. Thompson felt a renewed sense of purpose. But he knew that the journey was far from over, and he would need to continue advocating for change. The coalition continued to grow, with more dealerships committing to community-focused practices. Mr. Thompson organized regular meetings to share ideas and strategies for success. During one meeting, they discussed launching a national campaign to raise awareness about the benefits of community engagement in the automotive industry. Mr. Thompson felt a deep sense of fulfillment as he watched dealership owners collaborate and share their success stories, inspiring one another to create positive change. The coalition's efforts caught the attention of national media, leading to interviews and features that showcase the transformative impact of community-focused dealerships. As the media attention grew, Mr. Thompson sensed that they were on the brink of a significant breakthrough, but he also understood that the challenges they faced were far from over. With the coalition gaining national recognition, Mr. Thompson received an invitation to participate in a televised panel discussion about the future of the automotive industry. The discussion featured industry leaders from various perspectives, and Mr. Thompson was eager to share the benefits of community engagement. As he sat on stage, he felt a mix of excitement and nerves. This was an opportunity to advocate for change on a larger scale. During the panel, a competitor attempted to downplay the effectiveness of community-focused practices, questioning their sustainability in a profit-driven industry. Mr. Thompson felt the weight of the challenge. He knew he needed to respond with clarity and conviction, but would he be able to sway the audience in favor of integrity? In response to the competitor's remarks, Mr. Thompson stood firm. Community engagement isn't just good for business, it's essential for long-term success. Building relationships with customers leads to loyalty and trust, which are invaluable. The discussion continued, with Mr. Thompson sharing success stories from the coalition, highlighting how their initiatives had positively impacted communities and customers alike. He felt a sense of pride as he spoke about the students whose lives had been transformed through the scholarship program and mentorship initiatives. As he concluded his remarks, the audience erupted in applause, showing their support for his vision. With the positive response, Mr. Thompson felt invigorated, but he also knew that they needed to stay committed to their mission, as challenges would continue to arise. In the aftermath of the panel discussion, Mr. Thompson and the coalition worked tirelessly to sustain the momentum they had built. They launched new initiatives aimed at expanding community engagement and supporting local organizations. As they organized community service days and workshops, the coalition's influence continued to grow, drawing in more dealerships and supporters. Mr. Thompson felt a sense of fulfillment as he witnessed the impact of their efforts. The community was embracing their initiatives, and the spirit of collaboration was stronger than ever. During one workshop, a participant shared how the coalition's efforts had inspired her to start a local automotive club, bringing together enthusiasts to support community causes. As the network of support expanded, Mr. Thompson realized that they were creating a movement that could reshape the industry for years to come. But he also understood that maintaining their values would require ongoing vigilance and commitment. With the coalition firmly established, Mr. Thompson took time to reflect on the legacy they were building. He envisioned a future where community values were integrated into every aspect of the automotive industry. He gathered with his team to discuss long-term goals and initiatives, ensuring that their mission remained at the forefront of their efforts. As they brainstormed ideas, Mr. Thompson felt a sense of purpose. They were not just running a dealership, they were creating a movement that would inspire future generations. The coalition received recognition from industry leaders for their groundbreaking approach, paving the way for more dealerships to embrace community-focused practices. With each new accolade, Mr. Thompson felt the pressure to uphold their values. He knew that maintaining their integrity would require continued commitment and dedication. As the coalition's influence expanded, Mr. Thompson called on other dealerships to join the movement and prioritize community engagement. He organized a summit to encourage collaboration and share success stories. At the summit, Mr. Thompson presented compelling data on the positive impact of community-focused practices, demonstrating how they could lead to increased customer loyalty and satisfaction. As he spoke, he could see the spark of inspiration in the eyes of attendees. They were eager to learn and ready to make a difference. Many dealership owners expressed their desire to join the coalition, recognizing the benefits of embracing a community-centered approach. As new members joined the movement, Mr. Thompson felt a renewed sense of hope. Together, they could create a lasting legacy of integrity and collaboration in the automotive industry. With the coalition growing, Mr. Thompson and the new members began to build a strong network focused on community engagement and support. They shared resources, ideas, and best practices. They organized regular meetings to foster collaboration and discuss strategies for success. The network became a valuable resource for dealerships seeking to implement community-focused initiatives. Mr. Thompson felt a sense of fulfillment as he watched the network flourish. They were creating a supportive environment that empowered dealership owners to prioritize integrity. The network's success caught the attention of major automotive companies, leading to partnerships aimed at promoting community engagement on a larger scale. As the network expanded its reach, Mr. Thompson felt the weight of responsibility. He knew they needed to stay true to their values as they navigated new opportunities and challenges. With new partnerships forming, Mr. Thompson and the coalition explored ways to amplify their community initiatives and expand their impact. They launched joint marketing campaigns, showcasing the positive changes happening in the automotive industry and the value of community engagement. As the campaigns gained traction, Mr. Thompson felt a sense of pride in the movement they had built together. The stories of success resonated with customers and community members alike. Local media outlets began covering the coalition's initiatives, highlighting the positive impact on communities and inspiring others to embrace similar practices. As the visibility of the coalition grew, Mr. Thompson knew they had the opportunity to effect real change in the industry. But he also understood that maintaining their values would require ongoing commitment and vigilance. As the conference concluded, Mr. Thompson stood before the crowd, filled with a sense of accomplishment and hope for the future. "What we've built together is more than just a movement. It's a legacy," he declared, his voice steady and filled with emotion. "We have proven that integrity, community, and collaboration can thrive in the automotive industry." The audience erupted in applause, and Mr. Thompson felt a wave of pride wash over him. He had seen firsthand the positive impact their efforts had on communities, transforming not just businesses, but lives. He acknowledged the challenges they faced, but emphasized the importance of resilience and staying true to their values. "We have set a new standard, one that prioritizes relationships over profits, and I believe it will echo through generations to come," he continued, looking out at the faces of students, community members, and industry leaders who had joined the movement. As he wrapped up his speech, several dealership owners approached him, expressing their commitment to the coalition and their eagerness to implement community-focused practices. The energy in the room was electric, and it was clear that the transformation was far-reaching. "Now, I invite each of you to take this message back to your communities," Mr. Thompson urged. "Become champions of change within your own dealerships. Encourage others to embrace the values we hold dear. Share your stories, inspire your teams, and engage with your customers in meaningful ways. Together, we can build a brighter future for the automotive industry, one that reflects the values of integrity, compassion, and community. Let's continue to empower the next generation, ensuring that the legacy we create today will thrive for years to come." As the crowd rose to their feet, Mr. Thompson felt a renewed sense of purpose. "Join us in this movement. Support your local businesses, advocate for community engagement, and together, let's drive change. If you believe in the power of integrity and the importance of relationships, I encourage you to connect with our coalition and become part of this incredible journey. With that, Mr. Thompson left the stage, filled with gratitude for the support of his community and the promise of what lay ahead. He knew the road would continue to have its challenges, but with the commitment of so many, he felt confident that they were building a future worth fighting for. Years later, Mr. Thompson reflected on the journey he had taken, from a dismissed retired man to a leader of a transformative movement in the automotive industry. His dealership became a model for others, showcasing the power of community engagement and ethical practices. The scholarship program flourished, launching countless careers in the automotive field and empowering young people to embrace their dreams. The coalition of dealerships continued to expand, creating a network of support that transcended competition. Mr. Thompson knew that change was possible when values were prioritized and relationships were nurtured. His legacy would live on in the lives he had touched and the communities he had uplifted. "Let's keep driving forward," he would often say, "because together we can create a world where integrity reigns and every voice is heard." As the story of Mr. Thompson and his dealership became a source of inspiration, it encouraged others to share their own journeys and join the movement for community-focused practices. For anyone who believed in the power of positive change, the time to act was now. Join the movement, support your local businesses, and be a catalyst for change in your community. The road ahead is bright, and every journey begins with a single step.